It was once a story of love, beauty, and power, but it would soon turn into one of betrayal, courtrooms, and scandal. She was Zimbabwe's most glamorous woman, a model-turned-political wife, living in palaces and flying in private jets. But in a country where power is absolute and loyalty is fragile, Mary Mubaywa Chiwenga's fairy tale would quickly descend into chaos. This is the story of Mary Chiwenga, the woman who went from beauty queen to accused criminal, and from the heart of Zimbabwe's ruling elite to the lonely shadows of the nation's justice system. Born Mary Mubaywa, she grew up in a well-connected Harare family. Her father, Kenny Mubaywa, was a respected businessman and former chairman of the popular football club, Dynamos. From an early age, Mary was drawn to the limelight, entering beauty contests, modeling, and mingling with Zimbabwe's rising elite. Her charm, grace, and striking looks quickly opened doors. By her 20s, she was known in social circles as the Queen of Harare's highlight. She married former footballer Shinji Kawandera, and together they seemed to live the dream, a glamorous couple with luxury cars, expensive clothes, and connections in all the right places. But behind the smile, cracks were forming. The marriage soon collapsed amid allegations of infidelity and money disputes. A few years later, Mary would cross paths with a man who would forever change her destiny, Constantino Chiwenga, then commander of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. When Mary met Chiwenga, he was one of the most powerful men in the country, a feared military commander, loyal to Robert Mugabe but with ambitions of his own. Their relationship began quietly, but soon became the talk of Harare. In 2011, they held a traditional marriage ceremony, marking the beginning of what many call Zimbabwe's royal union. Mary became Mary Chiwenga, the unofficial first lady in waiting. Her lifestyle changed overnight: designer wardrobes, top-of-the-range vehicles, luxury properties in Borodale and Domboshava, and trips abroad for medical care and shopping. Photographers captured her at charity galas and state functions, standing proudly beside the powerful general. But as Mugabe's long rule began to crumble, the winds of politics started to shift, and the couple's fate would shift with. In November 2017, the world watched as Constantino Chiwenga led the military intervention that toppled Robert Mugabe. It was called a military-assisted transition, but in truth, it was a coup. Emmerson Mnangagwa, the dismissed vice president, returned from exile to claim the presidency, and Chiwenga, the kingmaker, became vice president of Zimbabwe. Mary, now the wife of the vice president, found herself at the peak of power. For a moment, she was untouchable, glamorous, influential, and constantly in the public eye. Some even whispered that she was being groomed to become first lady if Mnangagwa were ever to step aside. But behind the red carpets and flashing cameras, something darker was brewing. The fairy tale was about to turn into a nightmare. In 2019, the couple's relationship began to unravel publicly. Reports surfaced that Chiwenga had filed for divorce, citing marital misconduct. Not long after, Mary was arrested by the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission on charges of fraud, money laundering, and attempted murder. Authorities alleged that she had externalized more than $1 million, bought luxury cars and properties abroad, and even tried to register a fake marriage to Chiwenga while he was hospitalized. The charges shocked the nation. Just months before, she had been seen attending official events beside her husband. Now, she was behind bars. She was held at Chikurubi Maximum Prison, the same prison that once housed political dissidents, a stark contrast to her days of luxury. When she appeared in court, visibly frail and limping, her hands trembling, many Zimbabweans were stunned. This was no longer the glamorous Mary Chiwenga, this was a woman broken by scandal, isolation, and betrayal. Mary insisted she was innocent. In emotional court appearances, she said she was a victim of political vengeance and personal vendetta. She accused her husband of using his power to destroy her life, claiming she was barred from seeing her children and denied access to medical treatment. She told journalists and friends that she feared for her life, alleging that security agents monitored her every move and that she was being silenced. Her supporters described her as a fallen angel, crushed by the same system she once served. Her legal team argued that she was seriously ill and needed medical attention abroad. Images of her swollen hands and pale skin circulated online, drawing sympathy even from her critics. Yet, the state pressed on with its case, determined to make an example out of her. The public's response was divided. Some Zimbabweans saw her as a symbol of elite corruption, part of a small ruling class that enriched itself while ordinary citizens suffered. How can she cry about injustice, some asked, when she lived off the spoils of power for years? Others, however, saw her as a victim of patriarchy and power politics, a woman discarded once she fell out of favor with the men who ruled Zimbabwe. Her downfall exposed the cruelty and fragility of political marriages, where loyalty to power mattered more than love. Even feminist groups weighed in, arguing that Mary's story was not just about corruption, but about how women are used, and then discarded, by powerful men in patriarchal states. Investigations revealed that Mary and Chiwenga had taken over a lucrative farm, Ada Seeds farm in Domboshova, raising questions about elite privilege. Critics accused the couple of hypocrisy, saying they benefited from the same corruption they later blamed each other for. Her assets, cars, homes, bank accounts, were frozen. Friends distanced themselves. By 2022, Mary's once vibrant social media pages were silent. She was no longer the face of Zimbabwean high society, but a shadow of it, sick, isolated, and locked in endless court battles. Behind the headlines, though, Mary's story is deeply human. She's a mother, a daughter, a woman who once dreamed of a better life. Her downfall is not just about money or politics, it's about trust, betrayal, and the brutal price of power. From the catwalks of Harare to the cells of Chikurubi prison, Mary Chiwenga's journey is a tragic reflection of Zimbabwe itself, a nation rich in promise, yet trapped in cycles of ambition and pain. Today, her fate remains uncertain. Her court cases continue. Her health remains fragile. But her story serves as a warning that in Zimbabwe's corridors of power, beauty fades, alliances crumble, and those who rise too high may one day fall even harder. Mary Chiwenga, once a queen of elegance, now stands as a reminder that in politics, there are no fairy tales, only consequences.